Welcome, everyone, to the Crosse Commission podcast. And it must be the off season because we got some evergreen content, baby.
We need like the what's the draft music? Like the countdown. I don't know. I don't know if we should play it because of copyright purposes, but yeah, we need the draft countdown.
Yeah, so welcome to the Build Your All-Time Lacrosse Program draft exercise, what have you. As I'm Ryan, Jake and Safe with me as always, and we are going to do an all-time program based on 8 categories. We will draft 8 entities in those categories that Jake will explain in a few minutes. And then we will leave it up to you guys to vote who had the best one.
Well, first off, I think we should give Safe credit for this. This was his brainchild. He came up with it. Mm-hmm. So shout out Safe. We were going over ideas for the next pod. And Safe threw this out. I'm like, oh man, we could have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, I was happy you guys dug it. I was like, yeah, I think this could be kind of, especially our little rules that we're going to get into, kind of make it like just more diverse. It's going to be fun, I think.
100%. Yes. And I think that, when we share our teams out on the timeline and let people vote, I think it'll be really cool as well. Be interesting to see kind of who people get into. We decided all time as opposed to current because I think that I think it challenges us a bit more because obviously naturally we're going to think more recently, and I think Safe is the probably longest term fan on the show because Safe, you were at Hopkins in the mid-aughts, right?
Jake, that's such a gracious way of saying oldest, but yeah, no, I did appreciate that. No, I did.
Yes, Safe's been for like 20 years. So Ryan, I think you're what 15, 16, 17, close around there.
Yeah, I started following college lacrosse mid 2000, so around 2005, so called 20 years or something.
Yeah, and I'm like 2010, 11, around there. So naturally, we have inherently we'll have kind of a bias to more recent things. But all the time, I think folk makes us kind of get a little, dig a little deeper. And I think it maybe will, when we explain the categories and explain how it works, I think it might kind of provide more variety in how we make our selections and picks, as opposed to if we did it right now. So let's get into that. Here's how it works. There are 8 categories, as Ryan mentioned. Each of us will have 8 picks, 24 total picks. We're going to do it in a snake draft format. In a minute, we'll get the 100-yard rush up here to decide who gets the first pick. And we have to pick a school, so an actual Build Your All-Time program like a team school, a stadium, which stadium do we want our team to play in, coach, and then we get into position groups. 1 attackman, 1 midfielder, 1 fogo, 1 close defender, and 1 goalie. And I think that making this all time means that, if we did it, if we did this for just like 2026, I think we'd all probably pick like coaches with our first 3 picks. And that'd be a little, but doing it all the time, maybe someone wants to pick Dave Petramala, the defender, with their first pick. And maybe someone wants to pick Dave Petramala, the coach, later on. Or maybe someone wants to pick Gary Gate first overall, as, the player. But someone would want to pick Bill Tierney. So I think it'll kind of make it a little challenging, put us on the spot a bit. But so there are some, as Ryan mentioned, there are some rules.
So one thing is, if we're doing this exercise, wait a second, this is going to be Jake doing an all-time Maryland team and Safe doing an all-time Hopkins team and me doing an all-time Syracuse team. What do you know? Jake's team plays at Maryland Stadium and Safe's plays at Homewood and mine plays in the Dome. And what do you know? It's wow, look at my roster of one of the Powells and Joel White, and you get the point. So to challenge ourselves, we're only allowed to take one entity from our rooting interests. So only one for Cuse, Jake one Maryland, Safe one Hopkins. Additionally, we can only pick 2 entities per school. In the terms of players who have transferred, because in this day and age with Ivy League graduates and whatnot, we were going to make it either you choose this. It's going to be based on the majority of where they spent their time at.
And for school, we cannot pick our own school. I don't know if we mentioned that.
We cannot pick our own school.
So I can't pick Maryland. Safe can't pick Hopkins. Ryan can't pick Hughes. Do we want to? Can we pick the stadium, or do we want to?
If you want to pick the stadium, you can.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fair.
I think that's fine because you're gonna burn your one school thing on the stadium.
Good point. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought maybe stadium could be outside. Okay, that's good.
But that's actually a good point. Yeah, like if you really want to pick,
add some more strategy.
But you lose your one option.
Somehow. There's all the players just for the Homewood Field.
Safe picks a whole Virginia team at Homewood Field. And we can play around a bit with like the coach. So if you want to pick the coach from like Bill Tierney, if you want to pick Bill Tierney, Princeton, you can do that. It will be, that means you can only pick one of the Princeton player or whatever have you, but you can do that. All right, gentlemen. Anything else?
Got it.
All right. Let's see who gets the first pick. All right. We'll do faster.
Is this one of these tools that you get your students to participate in class with?
No, but maybe I'll use it. I've seen other people use it, so I thought it'd be cool. All right, Ryan is out to a lead, but Safe. This man come back. I'm coming up on the far side. Oh, Ryan's close. 5-yard line. Here comes Safe. Oh, Ryan gets it.
All right, there we go.
Safe second, and I am third. All right, there we go. So Ryan will have the first pick. Safe will have the second pick. I'll just go ahead and put these in our spreadsheet right here. And then we're going to do a snake draft. So round 2, I will pick first. Then Safe, then Ryan. All right.
All
right. Ready to rock? Let's do it. Ryan McConnell, you are on the clock. You have 1 minute to make your pick.
I think for my number 1 pick, I'm going to burn my Syracuse pick to start. And I'm going to burn it at the foundation of this team. Boys, we're going to the art museum. Roy Simmons Jr. for my head coach.
Oh, my God.
All right. I thought he was going to take. I thought he was going to take a player or something. I thought he was going to go off the board and take Joel White.
No, but I was thinking between him and Tierney, but I think with Simmons, you have all those years of experience. You think about how much that he was a player's type of coach that I think would make the subsequent picks, play to what we know them to be, and play freely to their strengths. Championship pedigree, longevity. I think Tierney with program building, absolutely. But yeah, if I'm gonna burn a Syracuse pick, I'll go with Roy Simmons Jr. as my head coach.
It's a good pick, yeah. I mean, that's one of the, I think, in terms of coach, that's probably one of the 4 or 5. I mean, he's got, 5 national titles? Something like that, maybe more. So, hard to argue with it.
Only the second head coach in Syracuse men's lacrosse history.
It's true.
The first being his dad.
Yeah, hard to argue with that one. All right. Safe, you are on the clock next. You have 1 minute to make your first round pick.
I like Rye's strategy. Going coach, that's also what I was thinking. But I was thinking in my head, I was like, these shot clock era greats, like post shot clock. You know what? I'm going to go with the solid hands, Jake. I'm going to go with Mr. John Tillman, who's shown the success in both eras. I love the man, obviously. But not Hopkins, obviously. But I didn't think he's the best coach in the business. Was able to do it very well before the shot clock era. Obviously broke the long drought at Maryland, the 2017 title, and obviously the great success post shot clock as well. So John Tillman, head coach for soon to be a program. Right?
I mean, what can you say? Yeah, took it right off my right away from me. I had a feeling Tillman was going to go round 1. I feel like there were 2 locks to go round 1. Ryan swerved a little bit with Simmons Jr., which means I guess I'll just go with the other obvious one. I'm taking Bill Tierney.
Taking Princeton Bill Tierney or Denver Bill Tierney?
I'm taking Princeton Bill Tierney. The greatest program builder of all time. He built Princeton from nothing to the biggest, most successful dynasty in the history of the sport. 3 straight national titles, 6 titles in, 6 titles, 10 years? I think. Yeah, or 7. 6, yeah.
Yeah, 94 to 01.
96, 97, 98, 01, and then 92 and 94? Yeah, 92, 94, 96, 97, 98, 01. And then he goes to Denver and takes a good program and makes them into a Final Four team in like a year. He wins a national title not too long after that. And he's laid a foundation as well. Matt Brown made the Final Four in his first season after he retired. The guy who basically invented the defense as we know it today, with slide, everything like that goes back to Bill Tierney. So yeah, feels like the obvious pick. I was wondering if we were going to get maybe a non-coach in the first round, but I think couldn't really pass up Tierney, and Tillman was another obvious one. Simmons Jr. Pretty clear picks there. All right, so Ryan goes Roy Simmons Jr. That takes his Syracuse option off the board. Safe goes with John Tillman, and I go with Bill Tierney. So I'm next with my second round pick.
Yeah, I'm going to just share for those of you that are watching the replay on YouTube. I'm just going to have the Google Sheets file up for us.
All right.
That we can follow along.
All right, so where do I go next? A lot of options here. I'm going to go maybe try and build my team from the back forward. No, I can't resist it. Round 2, I'm going to take an option maybe off the board for Ryan. And I'm going to take Mike Powell. Attack.
I didn't take it off for me because I already I burned my Syracuse pick. Right?
Oh, yeah, true. Well, yeah, fair. But I was thinking goalie here as my attack options I was looking at was Gary Gate, Mike Powell, and Lyle Thompson. I'm gonna go with Mike Powell. I just think he's maybe the most explosive Dodger that college lacrosse. I mean, certainly of his time, maybe the most explosive Dodger in the history of the sport. And I mean, what? 4-time first-team All-American? I think from the jump. Tour-a-ton winner, 2-time national champion. I was thinking about going goalie, and kind of building from the back, but I feel like goalie, some of these options will be left on the board. I don't know, and I just couldn't resist the opportunity to, go for a dynamic player like that. So I'm going to start with put my attackman, put the guy who's going to carry on my offense on the board. I'm going with Mike Powell.
Sounds good. Great. You know what? I'm not going to complicate it. Defense wins championships. I'm just going to go with the greatest defenseman of all time. Dave Petramala, Johns Hopkins. It's going to be my number 2 pick. Also, just, figured there's litany of really great young defensemen, Jake, obviously the Ajax down in Maryland, and, what Corrigan's been able to do at Notre Dame. But I still think DP would still be able to play in this modern era as well. So I'm going to burn a Hopkins pick here, but I think I can feel like is this going to be Vrabel for midfielder, but I'm going to go with DP here. I'm going to go with coach, and I love it. Now I have 2 of my favorite coaches on my team. One when it was young buck in the streets. So Dave Petramala was my number 2nd round pick.
It's good. Gotta respect that pick. I like going throwback. But yeah, Dave Petramala. I think you're right, Steve. I think most people would still probably consider him the best defender of all time. Maybe second, third with maybe another name that might pop up on we get here. But yeah, can't argue with that one.
All right, for this one, I am going to, for my 2nd round pick, I'll kind of do Jake's strategy first go with the goal scorer first, and I'll go with Lyle Thompson. If you got a coach like Roy Simmons Jr. that lets the players play, that breathes in completely well with Lyle Thompson, the master of improvisation on the lacrosse field, and just making the art of it, making attackman play an artwork with what he was able to do with his creativity on the field, making highlight reel goals out of nothing. So go with Lyle Thompson, his explosiveness, his creativity, his playmaking ability in addition to his scoring as well. I'll take Lyle Thompson on attack. Then I'll go on the goaltending end. And, hey, if we're getting guys that are going to give publicity to it, why not go with the guy that's only the biggest analyst on all these lacrosse telecasts? We'll go Quinn Kesnick.
Whoa.
We're going old school here.
Off the board. How about it?
Yeah, we'll start filling out the back a bit. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we all know Quinn for being the guy that's on our TVs every spring and writing articles and everything. But he was a damn good goalie, too, back in the day. And I think, good goaltending is good goaltending never goes out of style. You think about all those great goalies in the NHL in the 80s still held their own through the 2000s, like a Patrick Waugh. I could see Quint doing a heck of a good job, too, in the modern era, too. So I'll go Quinn Kesnick as goalie.
Those goalies faced a lot of rubber back in the day. I mean, so fair. I respect it. All right, Safe, you're up.
Almost an off-brand pick here, boys. But I want to control the ball. I want the ball as much as possible. I'll go with Trevor Baptiste for my face-off.
Safe taking a fogo.
We're going to be locking it down. You're not going to get the ball, and we're going to get back when you're on offense with DP and Trevor there. Yeah, no, I think again, pretty shocking, but I think it'd be as effective, maybe more so because you just maybe get more opportunities, especially if you can beat an offense that scores a lot and has more chances at the dot. Obviously TD was the one in my mind, but I thought what these guys would be kind of at a premium, so I just want to, like I said, just take them off the board if I see him, and I'm going to go with Trevor.
Hard to argue with Trevor. Another guy, changed the face-off position. There were great face-off guys before Trevor. I don't think anyone has put up the numbers that he did. And then TD comes in pretty quickly after him, and they have their kind of rivalry, the head-to-head, the game they played, the quarterfinal game, Albany and Denver at Hofstra. I think they finished tied like 50-50 at the dot. Trevor was a great athlete, too. Trevor could score 10, 11, 12 goals a season. So you get a lot of value out of Trevor, and still very, very good in the PLL to this day. I think he's coming up on 30 now. So hell of a career. Changed Denver's program too. That got them over the hump, winning a national championship his first year as a freshman. That was kind of a hole that they had to face off, and then when they got him, everything changed. So definitely off brand for safe, but a good pick. Hard to argue it. All right. I think there's some value that can still be gained by goalie later on. So I was thinking about going there next, but now I think I might. I've kind of got a 2000s thing going here. And also, I feel like if I pick this guy, I can maybe save my Fogo pick for later on and kind of wait a bit towards the later rounds. So I'm going to go not stealing a pick from Safe because he already used his Hopkins pick on Petro. But I'm going to take two-way guy, could play defense, great on the offensive side of the ball, took a bunch of face-offs, leader. I think Bill Tierney would certainly love to coach this guy. I'm going to go with the captain of the 05 Hopkins Blue Jays. I'm taking Kyle Harrison.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, love it.
So I think with Kyle Harrison, I get truly like a midfielder in the strictest definition of the word. Played basically the entire game, scored big goals, ran back to down, and took the face-off, won the face-off. So I get another face-off guy to go with it. Don't have to lean on my Fogo whenever I take him so heavily. And great leader, terrific player. And I think a guy who offense, like points, maybe don't jump off the page when you first look at it. But I think if you put Kyle Harrison in a shot clock era with the amount of possessions we have now, him winning faceoffs, I think he's a guy who could have put up huge numbers on the offensive side and account for, in the shot clock era with how fast the game is, he would be perfect to play both ways for your team. So a great player in his time. I think even with certainly, I think a player like that, his archetype would be tremendous today. All right. So I used my Hopkins pick there, which I think I want a Terp on here. So do I want to go there now, or do I want to wait? All right, I'm going to get my goalie. And I'm going to get a guy who probably I think is still kind of the standard by which we equate incredible goaltending performances, especially when we think of a goaltender stealing a game or like carrying his team to a deep playoff run or a national championship. A guy who when I go back and watch the highlights, I think made more on one particular weekend, made more astounding saves than any goalie I can recall. I'm taking Tillman Johnson. This guy in the 03 Final Four, if you go back and you watch, I mean, just he was standing on his head for hockey, but Tillman Johnson stood on his head in the 03 Final Four. And I don't think any goalie made more kind of just late reaction saves, incredible 10 bell saves, as they would say, than Tillman Johnson did. I think playing Bill Tierney's defense, he would be pretty locked down. So that's where I'm going. Tillman Johnson.
Boys, I'm trying to weight room teams here. So I'm thinking in my head, I love your Kyle Harrison pick, Jake, but I even had this one above Kyle. Obviously, I had Petra, so I couldn't pick another hop guy. I'm going with Miles Jones from Duke. I think, obviously just one of the best at Duke and, arguably top 5, I don't know, some people make top 10 midfielder, but I think physically, obviously imposing, great, intelligence, a great player in general, but put him now into the shot clock era, just more opportunities, just being able to use that athleticism and that Duke program, could replicate all the players, I don't think. But I think he would still have success. I'm going to go with Miles for my midfielder because I kind of feel like attack guys, because I was thinking of going earlier for attack, but I was like, we've just been so less and stuff like that may come out. But strong midfielders again. Couldn't take Rabel. That's couldn't get another hop guy. But if I couldn't get Harrison, couldn't get Rabel, I'm going to go with Miles Jones. Again, safe hands.
It's hard to argue with it. Yeah, I mean, offensive production from the midfield spot. Miles Jones's numbers are about as good as anybody ever. Just sheer production. And I mean, Duke played more games than a lot of people. Yeah, but I mean, still just from a midfield point of view, his numbers over his 4 years at Duke are just, I think, it's astounding. He had 70 points his last 2 years and 63 as a sophomore. And then he had still, as a freshman, when he was playing that second midfield in 2013, had 16 goals. So then he became both things: pass, shoot, physical, unbelievable skill, 2-time midfielder of the year. Saves kind of cornering the midfielders of the 2010s right there with Trevor and Miles. Those guys won every midfielder of the year for 4 or 5 years.
Want to control that? Yeah, 25-75% of the field take. I want to own that. Yeah, I believe still second most career points by midfielder in Division I history, 231. First midfielder with NCAA history to record 100 career goals and 100 career assists. I mean, just a point monster. I want the ball and I want to score. So I'm going with Miles.
Respect it. All right, Ryan, you got the last pick of round 4 halfway through.
Okay, so now that we're at this portion, sorry, eliminate the Quinkesnik there. Given Safe's taking a Fogo off the board, I got to go with the other dominant Fogo. Got to go with TD Erlin. So, again, the 2010s dominated by Baptiste and Erlin. And TD Erlin, look, he was a huge difference maker in getting Albany to the Final Four. He was a huge difference maker to getting Yale their national championship and return to the Final Four the following year.
Hang on.
Or did I have that flip-flop? Yeah, no. Albany was the same year as Yale. So
he got Albany in the Final Four and then got Yale. But I have a point of order here.
Yes.
So TD Erlin was in college for 5 years. He played 2 seasons at Albany. He had 1 full season at Yale. And then he kind of had 1/3 of a season in 2020.
An internship, yeah.
And then he did an internship at Denver. He played the majority of his career at Albany, I would say.
Well, that's fine because I have a max of 2. Remember, we get a max of 2
true.
players for
Yeah.
schools, so TD
Smack
could
them
still
too.
count as my Fogo.
Okay, fair. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you're good. Good.
No more Albany though, Jake.
Yeah,
Rockets.
And no more Albany's. Sorry, all the other Thompsons.
Cut off. Yeah.
Sorry, Blaze Reardon. Yeah, sorry, Blaze Reardon. And then my 5th round pick, we're going to go to midfield.
We want to pause here just because we're halfway through. We can reset.
Yeah.
All right. So
yes,
Ryan's got Ryan. Who do you got so far with your 4 picks?
Yeah, so I got Roy Simmons Jr. as our head coach, Lyle Thompson's on attack, Quentin Kesnick as our goalie, and TD Erlin as our Fogo.
All right. What are you thinking you're going next? Maybe don't have to spoil it, but where's your kind of where's your
well,
board?
we gotta get
at right now.
We got to fill out the middle and back end of the field, so that might be the direction we're heading momentarily.
All right. Safe. What do you got so far? 4%.
I got leader of men, John Tillman, head coach, the greatest defenseman of all time, Dave Petromont, as my defenseman for my 2nd round pick. In my opinion, greatest faceoff person of all time, Trevor Baptiste. And I think, again, also the greatest midfielder potentially of all time in Miles Jones with my 4th round pick. So very happy with my pick so far. Yeah.
All right. I've got Bill Tierney at coach, Mike Powell at attack, Kyle Harrison midfield, Tillman Johnson in goal. So, I mean, certainly I love the coach pick. I got maybe the best coach of all time, one of the best attackmen of all time, most explosive attackman ever. And then I think I've got a really strong, with Bill Tierney coaching, I've got Kyle Harrison in midfield, Tillman Johnson in goal, and then I've got a pretty strong foundation. We're going to play great defense. I like the but we still got Mike Powell up top to lead the offense. So, like we're going. I got to do one more need a defender, and after that, it's kind of school and stadium, everything. Oh, I need a Fogo too. So, can go a lot of directions with my next pick. And I'll have 2 picks when I do go. So, excited to see. All right. I think Ryan, you are on the board. Starter on 5.
Yeah, so let's see where I'm going to go with this. So I want to go midfield. Problem is there's so many freaking attackmen through the years that got to find a good midfielder. You know what? We're going to give this guy, I know his pro career has outshined his college career, but I think now that we have a program that will get him to play in more than one NCAA tournament game, he's going to be in good shape. Go with Tom Schreiber at the midfield.
Oh,
yeah, that was.
You want a guy that can absolutely take over a game at the midfield. Hard to find more guys than guys that can do that more than Schreiber. And he's, even though, yes, only was able to play one NCAA tournament game, was great at Princeton. His NLL and MLL and PLL resume speaks for itself. So I'll go with Tom Schreiber at the midfield. Princeton's had a lot of great midfielders through the years. I was considering Strebel, but at the same time, he played attack before switching to midfield, and the majority of his career he was at attack, so might be a gray area. So I'll go with Schreiber. I was also considering Rabel here as well, but I think as great as Rabel was, Schreiber, I think, gives us that little X factor that will help our midfield hum. So I'll go with Tom Schreiber at the midfield.
When you said pro career and then you mentioned NCAA tournament, I thought you were going for another Princeton midfielder in Zach Courier, which I think also he was on my board. I was leaning my I I had two-way guys kind of all throughout my midfield, but I had Harrison, Courier. I thought about picking him because I didn't think he'd pop up elsewhere, but I think the eternally underrated Kevin Crowley at Stony Brook, who was
if we were doing long stick middies too, I was also considering Josh Hawkins. Was an absolute
Hawkins was short stick, but at Loyola.
With short stick, I was considering that, but I need offensive firepower. But think about how much Hawkins with that 2012 Loyola team was such a difference maker. But need a little bit more offensive firepower, and I think running an offense through Schreiber to win the faceoff with Erlin, run it from the top of the box to Schreiber down to Lyle. I think that is a very, very potent offense to work with. So I'll go with Schreiber as my midfielder.
Sir. All right, Safe. You're up.
Jake, I was wondering, can you zoom in? I don't know if you
I think Ryan's running. Ryan, can you zoom in?
Yeah, let me zoom that in.
So I want you guys to see this one here. Boys, I need winners on my team. We're gritty, obviously, but I need people that not only perform at the big bright lights, but do exceedingly well. And maybe a little recency bias, maybe a little bit just fondness for him. Jake, I'm going with Big Mac. Logan McEnany for my goalie. All the boy does is win. 4 national championship appearances. Or you can argue with the 1-3 record. But still, again, the last 2, you can arguably say that Maryland overperformed. Obviously, came out of the gates scorching hot. I believe 34-1 in the first 2 seasons. Essentially, Maryland didn't lose a game, but the national championship in 2021 for 2 years with him at the helm. Right out of as a freshman, the Sills made the call, saw something in him, and I like the connection of having Tills as my coach and Logan as my goalie. So I'm going to go with Big Mac, a winner, all-time leader, career wins at Maryland. And all-time
leader.
Yeah,
all-time leader who wins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wins and saves as well. So all the kid does is win, and I'm gonna go with Big Mac.
Yeah, Fogo. All right, I think I'm gonna kind of fill out my roster here. And I'm going to start with defense. And I'm going to go with maybe the other name that comes up when people suggest greatest defender of all time. A tremendous, but maybe a little understated college career because of where he played. But then a dominant kind of pro career, especially at the international level. I'm going to take Brody Merrill.
Oh, yeah.
From Georgetown.
Stole my pick.
So that is where I'm going to go with my defense. At Canada, he helped them win a world championship in 2014 and was still playing into his late 30s. Incredible longevity. And then Georgetown, kind of the bedrock of Urich's great Georgetown teams. I would say maybe you can make a strong argument he's the best player to never play in a Final Four. But Defender of the Year, Schmeisser winner, I think definitely once, maybe multiple times. But yeah. And two-time first-team All-American. Won the Schmeisser Award, litany of pro success. They named the LSM of the Year award and the PLL after him. So, yeah, I think if Petro is the kind of one-time, the greatest defender of all time, I think the current age is probably Brody Merrill. So I'm going to go Brody Merrill, Georgetown. And then I'm going to go, I got another pick. We're going Fogo. I like that I already have Harrison, who can take some Fogo, opportunities for me. And once you got past TD and Trevor, I kind of felt it was sort of up for grabs. There's great Fogos, but those were the two clear standouts. So I'm going to take one probably near to my heart, and I want to have at least one Terp on here. And at least for me, one of the great clutch face-off guys of all time. I'm going to take Luke Weirman.
Ooh, yeah.
I think I said it a lot. If I could have one guy to take any face-off for me during his career, Luke Weirman was that guy. Maryland never felt out of a game as long as Luke Weirman was there. And then I think, certainly safe pick of McNaney in 2022 was a big part of it. But another part of kind of keeping Cornell from making that comeback in the national championship was the fact that Luke Weirman was always standing there with the face-off dot. So, there are a bunch of directions you can go with Fogo. I kind of thought once TD and Trevor were off the board, it was sort of a free-for-all. So I got a good one, and then I got a guy in Harrison who also could take some face-offs for him. So keep him fresh. Luke Weirman is where I'm going.
Solid pick. I thought you were going to go a little bit dirty with that one and go with Petey. For Virginia. They didn't keep that. But go pick Luke, obviously. Like that. You know what? I'm going to go do a little bit of vanity stuff here. What is some things I love for school? Again, off-brand, just to mix it up a little bit. I'm going with Notre Dame. I want a pillar in this
that was my pick.
Changing landscape
No,
of
to be fair, yeah.
I want something that you're like, you know what, you set your clock to. Notre Dame, like the athletic program, the athletic department, obviously it's investing a lot. The Lacrosse, you can see, like, it's just increasing popularity. They were kind of like this kind of glamour Hollywood program for a little bit. Kind of maybe, dare I say, Hopkins fans don't send angry emails to Ryan about this, but maybe potentially the new Hop, for at least for ESPN, like, kind of the potential darling, especially what happened, being in the Big Ten and stuff like that. But I think Notre Dame, with John Tillman with Notre Dame athletic department, I think it's a good mix. I think it's a good mix of coach with the institution. I think that was going to be maybe my other school there, but I think Notre Dame has that flexibility of like, hey, maybe they go to the Big in a couple of years. Maybe they just stay in ACC. It's like they're more solid. But in my opinion, like going forward, than maybe like a Hopkins, Richard, in my heart, but going to Notre Dame for school.
Yeah, that's a good,
and I think I think that this is kind of safe. You hit upon what I was kind of thinking of it in terms of a brand in this day and age. That program has broken into the mainstream. What other program is getting guest spots on the Pat McAfee show or and stuff like that? So I think, and the institutional support, the facilities that are poured into it.
Listen, it's
for
a
school.
It's 2025.
I just wish Regis was here to see it, boys. I just really just wish Regis.
But like, listen, money. Like, it's 2025. Like, how many scholarships can you fund? NIL. This stuff does matter, and
and you think about it, this is a school with its storied football program that made it to the national championship game, won 3 games in the playoff last year. Probably number 2 on the totem pole in the school's pecking order right now. Women's basketball, then men's lacrosse. And women's basketball and men's lacrosse, they spend more than anybody else does on women's basketball and men's lacrosse in terms of institutional support. So even if they're number 3 at the pecking order, that's a way better number 3 than a lot of other schools in the country. So I say that's a really, really good pick.
No, I appreciate that. I feel there's still like a Catholic or parochial school like Pipeline, and Notre Dame's like kind of at that top of those type of schools. So I was hoping you guys wouldn't take it, but I was happy it was available.
In recruiting right now, I think they're the biggest brand out there. I don't really think it's they were always recruiting well, and the national championship seems to have just supercharged it in the Kavanaughs and things like that in the last 4 or 5 years. So they were definitely my the school pick that I was looking at.
Uh-huh.
All right, Brian's up.
So I got to get a defenseman. I'll double down on Princeton and go with David Morrow. Another bit of an old school pick, but you think about those great Princeton defenses. The very forefront of it was Morrow at the beginning of the 90s. So I think with Merrill and Petromalo off the board, I'll go with Morrow as my defenseman.
I'm liking this like combo 90s, late 80s, 90s, 2010s thing Ryan's got going on. He's got Roy Simmons Jr., David Morrow, and Lyle Thompson, T.D. Erlin, and Tom Driver.
Mix the old and the new. But I'll go with my school pick. Notre Dame off the board. Again, I'm looking at institutional support. There's 3 Power 4 schools that really pour a lot into it. Notre Dame's taken. I can't pick Syracuse. I'll go with the third with Maryland then. So I think, the tradition with Maryland, the success with Maryland, I think the big thing is that institutional support. Nobody's utilizing the Big Ten money more into their men's lacrosse program than Maryland is. You could argue Penn State as well, but not to the consistency that Maryland has had. And you could set a watch to them. So I think you've got you don't necessarily need to be in Maryland to recruit all these guys to get Maryland players. I think, with
no,
trust me, seeing here on Long Island, the big thing for Mid-Atlantic kids is to go down to the South and listen to country music all the time and spend 4 years at an SEC school. The amount of South Carolina and Georgia and University of Tampa and Clemson stuff I see around here these days. You don't necessarily have to stay home, but Maryland does a very good job with retaining that. And again, I think the big thing in my decision in this is institutional support. University of Maryland's definitely one of those. So I'll have the University of Maryland as my school. Also helps having a good public school as well. You don't have the restrictions that the Ivies do. A little bit more institutional support you get from different sources compared to a private. And I think it was between Maryland and Virginia for me. I'll go with Maryland for my school for my 7th round pick.
The only thing I'll say is a lot of positives to it. Track record. Maryland's never bad. Super high floor. Obviously in the state, which matters. I do think from an institutional support standpoint, just like money, I do think there's a gap. There's a gap between Maryland and Notre Dame and some of these other ACC schools. I think you certainly see this more so in the women's game right now. With the facility gap and things like that in the women's game.
Yeah, that's why I was specific to saying men's lacrosse, because you have seen a bit of a dip with the Maryland women's program lately.
Yes, I think though that, and I mean, look, Kathy Reese is incredible, but I think Tillman does a lot for Maryland that I'm not sure another coach does. I think that I'm not. Look, it's Maryland, so it's never going to be. But me and Safe have talked about this a lot. There was a perception of Maryland when Tillman took the job that is completely 180 to the perception of Maryland now. And what I will say is that I think some of that has changed because of the school for sure, in giving Tillman kind of, some of what he needs. But I also think there's a bit of that. I think there's a bit of a mindset at Maryland to a degree that maybe we don't need to do as much because we have Tillman. And I think their view is like, well, if we can get 80% of the way, Tillman can get Tillman will fill in the other 20%. And I think that's true. But it's also like, well, what if you just gave him the 100%? And then, but listen, I mean, in terms of school, yeah, like Maryland's, still a top 5-6 option no matter what, even if maybe there's a difference between Notre Dame and some of these other ones. All right, Safe, you're up.
Jake, Ryan, I want my players to feel comfortable. I want them to enjoy where they're playing. I want the stadium to exude history. I'm going with Homewood Field for my stadium.
Well, hang on. Isn't it one pick?
Oh, you already did
One?
Petramala.
I thought it was like we could choose. Oh, I thought the stadium was like 7. Okay, then then you know what? Show them some love. Klockner at Virginia.
Ooh, that was going to be my pick. Ooh.
Yeah, that's
Amazing atmosphere, great crowd. A lot of obviously winning history there. I'd like to, again, the diversity to try to spread it around. Sides, Homewood was going to be. I wanted Big Mac to feel comfortable, Jake. And, obviously, 2022, you can see that he felt very comfortable at Homewood. I believe 3-1 his career. But that's best thing. Just a beautiful atmosphere, beautiful place to play. Future NCAA championship site in 2026. I'm going to go with Klockner.
I respect what was it? I told our good pal Mark Hart about this, and he was saying that say if you had to pick Homewood, or the Hopkins contingent would be disappointed. I get, I think you'll be off the hook because you did take Petro, and your thought was with Homewood. All right. Well, I got to fill out just my stadium and my school. So I'm going to get really quirky here because I think it'll be fun for a lot of reasons. I'll go right off of safe. I'll take Homewood Field. I think in terms of environments, when Homewood is rocking, it's one of the perfect lacrosse venues. It's the perfect size. The band, you get certainly in its day the student section. Just a great ambiance feel for big games. An iconic venue. I definitely wanted a historic lacrosse venue, which Homewood Field fits into that perfectly. And so the Homewood and Klockner were like the top two on my list. There wasn't really, after that, it was a pretty big drop off. So I'm happy to get Homewood here. And for school, I'm just going to fully make this as weird as possible. I am taking Syracuse.
Syracuse at Homewood with Bill Tierney.
Syracuse at Homewood Field with Bill Tierney as the coach.
What an amende de trois.
Look, you need a school. For me, I need a school that supports lacrosse, that pumps a bunch of money into it. Syracuse have for years always had the biggest lacrosse budget. Nowadays, in terms of NIL and things like that, it's certainly supporting a lot. It's an iconic brand, and I think that there is some thought, I guess, maybe about location. It's a little different for some of these southern schools. I had Duke and Virginia in mind as well. But I still I think if you get Syracuse right, I think that is a we've talked about this with like Syracuse, Hopkins, and Virginia. All of them had got rid of famous head coaches during the 2010s, or Syracuse 2020. And the kind of view was or 2021, whatever it was. Virginia certainly reloaded much quicker. And do I think Virginia has some advantages across 100%? I do, compared to the other ones. I also just think if you put Lars Tiffany at Syracuse or Johns Hopkins, I think he has the same. I think he gets the same success. So I think Syracuse. You got listen, Gate got to a Final Four. I think if you go to our top 10 coaches list, I think if you put any of those top 5 at Syracuse, they're winning championships. So, and they support this program. You get the fan support, good and bad. But listen, I think that's a good thing. Fans care, and I'm sure Ryan and
some of them motivate them to Final Fours. Yeah.
I'm sure Ryan and his
streams.
Ryan and his band of orange brothers and sisters will be filling out Homewood Field. Nice. All right, Safe. You got an attackman to pick. Last pick.
You know what? Yeah, I felt like it was like a luxury because you guys went attack kind of early. So, and I was like, okay, I was like, when you guys took those, which are obviously great, all time greats. I felt comfortable. I was like, at least I can get mine because that's what I feel with this what we're doing here. It's like, obviously, you want to get like the best, but also something like kind of shows not personality, but like kind of representative of who we are. And, what's thinking about attackman? I was like, there's so many greats. Big Pat. Jeff T, Connor, but you know what? Again, maybe a little bit preferential just because I like him. And the friend of the pod, but I think he deserves it. I'm going with Grant Ament. I think Grant, obviously, legendary player, Penn State, kind of like you can argue, kind of reshaped the program or helped to reshape the program and just put it into like this next tier when they. The subsequent success, they've been able to sustain that. But I think, as prolific as he was, I think just watching him play, like very few play, maybe Connor to an extent, but like it was almost like, Randy Moss and like those aughts, Madden, like he was just faster than everybody and just moved differently. A young Iverson, but just like the way he could cut, the way he could dodge, it's like, you couldn't stick with him one-on-one. If they did the pick and roll, like you're going to get eaten up. You got big Mac over there to, where he could feed and feed and feed. And I think he would be even better at the shot clock here. I think
he wasn't. That was the first year.
But like the full career, you know what I'm saying? Like he would have I think just an absolute, dynamic. It would be one of the best, players of all, of any position. Like I really think, injuries and stuff like that. Again, that's a risk. But I think young Grant fully into the shot clock era all 4 years. John Tillman as a coach. Trevor, just eating up face-offs, and he's got Miles Jones there at midfield, like another prolific offensive set. So yeah, I want the ball, I want tough defense, and I need a hitter at attack. So I'm going with Grant.
All right, Ryan, you got a stadium to pick.
Yeah, I got a stadium to pick. Now, I was gonna go with Klockner, but that was taken. With all due respect to Maryland Stadium and the Dome, both are awesome when they're packed. They're still got 30,000 empty seats when they're packed for lacrosse, though. So that kind of playing in an FBS stadium is awesome, but at the same token, kind of like, can you do it on a rainy Wednesday night in Stoke? Well, what happens when you got a game against a mid-major on a Tuesday night in February? Are you going to get that many people in the seats? No, you're going to be looking at a lot of aluminum. So I'm going more towards the direction. This is also going to take Marine Corps out of the mix as well. I'm going to look more towards the new age in this facility's arms race towards lacrosse-only fields, or maybe lacrosse and soccer. I was thinking Seward, but we're not playing neutral site NCAA tournament games there, so we can't. If we're playing day by day,
you got Lyle Thompson assured. You might sell a lot of freaking tickets.
We might sell a lot of tickets, but in this day and age, it's all about the facilities arms race, and that facility arms race is with these lacrosse-centric stadiums. But you also want to keep that home field advantage. So I think, as nice as UNC's is, are they really getting that much of a home field advantage at this juncture? Not really. So I think that narrows it down. I saw Ohio State's got a very nice facility, as does Michigan. I saw the
big gray wall in the backdrop there.
Yes. But I think if we're talking about modern facilities, lacrosse only, and the atmosphere with the student section and the crowd, it narrows it down to two. And I think I'm going to go with Panzer Stadium in State College in Happy Valley. It was between that and Arlotta.
I probably would have gone with Arlotta. But I can see
But
Panzer.
I'll go with Panzer because it's the newest one. Arlotta's nice too. Panzer's the newest one, and a Sunday night game at Penn State is a zoo. So if our program is loaded up on Sunday night Big Ten Network games, we're going to have a rowdy atmosphere, and we are going to have a lot of fun with this, with the crowd packing in to a nice intimate setting right on top of you with a great field turf, great workout facilities connected to it. So I will go a little new school here with Panzer Field with this lineup. Expect some raucous environment with that crew.
Certainly, yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, Panzer are a lot of 1952's come back strong the last couple of years. State's been to a bunch of games there.
Yeah,
the Woods.
I do kind of wish they had seats on both sides. Which is where I give Arlotta and Klockner because they have the
burn on the other side. Yeah,
you get fans on both sides.
They used to have such rinky-dink away stands under that, like literally like maybe like six like rows, and it just like was like maybe an eighth of length of like the home field set. It looked like just like the leper colony, that you would have. Like,
and the close.
They replaced it with the beautiful Megatron the screen, but I always remember I went going to a couple games there. And I was like, oh man, they really don't care about the away fans.
Arlotta also has the closest thing to SEC baseball tournament in Hoover with the kids running around with sticks. But yeah, I think though, I think the edge that I have with Panzer, a little bit more modern facilities, a little bit more intimate. I know it's a little bit smaller than Arlotta, but the way that they designed that stadium, you are on top of everything, and it creates a big home field advantage for the Nittany Lions.
And they still have like the fans leisurely sitting on the lawn. I love that aspect. That's the one thing I love about Arlotta. You see all this.
It does. Panzer sounds bigger than it is. Definitely. And it feels bigger than it is. I would personally just want a little bigger, if I were for me, which is why I think Arlotta, because they can have the fans. I mean, the bleachers at Arlotta are no bigger than probably Panzer, maybe less actually, but they get all the fans on the other side, which helps a lot. Klockner's great for it. I wish they played more night games at Klockner, frankly. I think they should. Homewood, I think, is like Homewood and Klockner are like the ideal sizes for them. I will say with the dome, because I did think about the dome for stadium. When it's packed, it's loud, and the dome is like weird. So as far as home field advantage goes, like the dome is just. There's certain college sports stadiums that are just like. There's just something it's like mythical. I don't know. It's just weird shit happens. The dome is
and weird stuff happens in all sorts of stuff: football, basketball, lacrosse.
There's just something in the dome, and trying to beat Syracuse in the dome is so hard. The other one that comes to mind to me is in college baseball at LSU, Alex Box Stadium. There's just something. It's just weird. Trying to beat those teams there. Other schools have this. But that's one I did consider the dome is. And I also one thing I will say that I kind of when I was thinking about it, lacrosse history. I like that. I think that's the one thing I do love that Maryland and Syracuse have going for them is there's just lots of big lacrosse games that have been played there over the years. So I think that's maybe I kind of lean old school in that way. But me personally, if I was building a lacrosse stadium somewhere on campus, I would want it to be the size of Homewood and maybe with Klockner's, seating on the far side. That's probably what I would go for. All right. Our teams are done.
That's fun. Yeah.
It was. All right. Ryan, run down your team, and then if there was one pick you didn't get to make that you would, or someone you wanted on your team or something like that, tell us what you wish you could have gotten.
So who hasn't been picked, right?
Yeah, so if there was if you could make one more pick, if there was one pick that got made that you wish you could have got it, who would yours have been?
So I have Roy Simmons Jr., Lyle Thompson on attack, Quinn Kesnick is my goalie, T.D. Erlin is my Fogo, Tom Schreiber is my midfielder, David Morrow is my defenseman, Maryland for school, Panzerfield for stadium. If I had to make an extra pick, maybe Rob Pennell at attack. I think between Rob Pennell or Pat Spencer, I'll go with Rob Pennell, though, just because of how much he elevated those Cornell teams. Like, seeing him in my college years, that was an experience, seeing Rob Pennell at attack. So,
all right, Safe, what do you got? And if you could make it, one more pick, if there was a pick you wish you could have got, who would you have gone with?
At the top, the CEO of this whole band, John Tillman for my head coach, Dave Petromal for my defenseman, the great Trevor Baptiste at faceoff, Miles Jones at midfield, Logan McEnany as my goalie. We're all playing. Our program is the Notre Dame. The field, though, will be Klockner, and my attackman is Grant Mann. Now, honestly, I got every guy I wanted. Like, not to but I really, this was my first picks. Then if you guys took some of them, I would have to make some adjustments. But I did get everyone. I had to go with Tillman first because I was I figured you guys were smart and go with coaches early, and I was I gotta get the guy that I want. And Ryan taking Roy, that's obviously a great coach, but I was able to get the one I wanted. Sorry to snake that away from you, Jake. Yeah, definitely for defenseman Petro. That would probably be a little difficult, but I maybe would have just kind of replaced it with Tucker if that you guys did take that. PD was going to be my dirty pick if you guys did take TD and Trevor before for face-off, but just a consummate winner, just Lars just threw him out there. Yeah, kid, definitely was made of sterner stuff. But Jake, I did love Luke Weirman. That was also my 3B. Trevor and Logan, TD was out. I mean, honestly, the one if you guys took Big Mac, I would have gone with Justin Schwartzman. Again, winner for that obviously could still not come in as my second Hopkins pick. But yeah, the only ones I was kind of maybe were, but once you guys took Lyle and Mike Powell, I didn't think I obviously knew it would have been safe was Grant. But if he was off, I would have gone with Jeff T as my attackman. But yeah, definitely got exactly kind of lineup I wanted. Was in my head the last couple of days thinking of it. So yeah, none of my players are my second picks are all definitely the ones I wanted for each position.
Well, I got Big Bill Tierney, a coach. He's the best of all time. 7 national titles. Can't argue with it. National titles at 2 separate schools. He's the only guy to do that. Some of my other coach options I thought of, obviously, I maybe wanted Tillman sentimentally. He was certainly on there. If it had gone Tillman and then Tierney, so if Ryan had picked Tierney maybe and say if you had picked Tillman, I had Desco as one I was thinking of. 5 national titles. I also had Zim potentially as an option. 3 national titles at Hopkins, and then did a great job at UMBC. That's kind of what I was thinking of. One with Mikey Powell at attack. Lyle was on my list for sure. Kind of looking at it, seeing now they didn't get picked, I maybe kind of wish I picked Gary Gate. Maybe the best attack, Petromal maybe the best defender of all time. Gary Gate might be the best offensive player of all time. So kind of maybe wish I went there. But there's so many great attackmen. Midfield, Kyle Harrison. I wanted kind of a two-way guy, and I love Kyle Harrison. There are other guys. I mentioned Kevin Crowley at Stony Brook. He was a huge part of that Canada 2014 team that won the World Championship. Zach Courier, I mentioned. I was looking for maybe some offensive punch going like way back. Del Dressel. Hopkins got mentioned. So how about that? Going with Tillman Johnson to goal, that was tough. There were a lot of guys I thought of. I thought of Larry Quinn. I go with Brian Doherty. I almost pulled the trigger on. With my Maryland pick. But Tillman Johnson got the national championship and was so incredible in that 0-3 run. Brody Merrill defense, I took that one from Brian. Again, kind of maybe the modern pick for the best defender of all time. And longevity, incredible career, versatile. Luke Weirman, Fogo. Yeah, Fogo was since I got a guy who I wanted a midfielder who also takes faceoffs. So that's why I thought about Harrison. I thought about Courier for that reason. I also a little bit considered Max Theobald for that reason. But after TD and Trevor went off the board, that was kind of I'm probably one of those guys, but I feel good. Safeco Notre Dame was definitely like my kind of like one pick at the school. That was definitely the one I figured made the most sense. I thought about Virginia, as I mentioned. I thought about Duke. Just considering the kind of financial what they can put in. I do, though, fan support maybe kind of like jotted down a bit for me compared to some of the other ones. And I thought about Klockner, but definitely happy with Homewood. I like my squad. Definitely more. I wasn't intending it, but more very like 2000s. Leaning, and then I got Weirman in there from the 2010s. But like what I got, we'll see what the people think.
It's a good time.
Oh yeah, this is fun.
You think this was fun and lacrosse is fun? Then you know it's really fun? Subscribing to the Crosse Commission on YouTube. Smash that like button. Hit the subscribe button.
Turn notifications
bell.
on.
Yeah, bell for the notifications. And follow us on Twitter at college_cross.
Also, what you should do, in the comments on YouTube, you should tell us which team you think won. Who you go? If you go with me, Ryan, or Safes. When we post it on Twitter, maybe Ryan could do some graphics for it. That'd be interesting. You should reply and tell us who you think has the best team. And then also in the comments on YouTube, you should tell us what you want to see us do next for our next show. So if you like this content, if you like this idea and you have something yourself that you would like to see us do, throw it at us. If you have another idea, could be anything. If you just want us to talk about a specific team, or you want more throwback stuff, looking at old games, or see whatever it might be, do that. So yes, like the video, subscribe on YouTube, leave a comment, tell us which is your, tell us your potentially, if you had to build one, what would you go with? And let us know.
All right. So from all of us, thank you for listening or watching. We'll see you around. As always, stay hydrated.
Thank you, Mr. President.